The first request was $400. Your partner mentioned it the way people mention something they have already decided. Not quite a question, not quite a conversation. You said yes, because it was $400, and because saying no to your spouse's mother 90 days into a marriage felt like the wrong kind of person to be. You transferred the money and told yourself it was a one-time thing. It is 3 years later now. You are sitting in your car in the driveway because you saw the in-laws' car parked out front, and you need 11 minutes before you can go inside. You have a savings account your spouse does not know about. You started it 8 months ago. You told yourself it was for emergencies. You know what it is actually for. Level 1. The first months. You start noticing things without naming them yet. The way your partner fields calls from family during dinner, and the conversation always bends toward money. The way a particular sibling visits, and the energy in the room changes, a tightening so subtle you think you imagined it. Your partner never explains the calls afterward, and you do not ask because asking feels like criticism, and you are not ready to be someone who criticizes their family. Research on financial enmeshment defines it precisely. It is when children are expected to fulfill adult roles in financial situations, including carrying the financial stress of the family. Your partner has been doing this since before you existed in their life. They learned it the way children learn languages, before they were old enough to know it was happening, and it became the dialect of love they speak fluently. The problem is that you did not grow up speaking it, and you are about to learn what it costs to live inside someone else's mother tongue. Level 2. The first request. It arrives as a favor, not a demand. The framing is temporary. A short gap, a small emergency. Nothing you need to worry about. You say yes, because saying no to your spouse's mother feels impossible, and saying no to a temporary problem feels petty. What you do not know yet, and what by level 6 of this you will know more clearly than almost anything else in your life, is that the word temporary does not mean the same thing in a financially enmeshed family as it means anywhere else. In a financially enmeshed family, temporary means until the next time. The research calls this the normalization cycle. Each transfer, once completed without consequence, becomes the floor for the next request, rather than the ceiling. You just move the floor, you hand over the money, and feel generous. That feeling will become one you recognize later, the way you recognize weather, something you used to enjoy before you learned what it predicted. Level 3. The loyalty test. The requests become more frequent, which you expected, and your partner becomes their advocate, which you did not. This is the level that breaks most couples who marry into financial dysfunction. Not the money itself, but the alignment. You raise the conversation carefully, and your partner hears it as an attack. Not because they are unreasonable, because in their family system, protecting the family from outside criticism is the oldest and deepest loyalty they know. Researchers studying couples with mismatched financial family backgrounds found they are 5 times more likely to divorce than couples with similar financial upbringings, and the mechanism is almost never the money directly. It is the repeated moment where the partner from the struggling family is forced to choose between their spouse and their family, and chooses their family, not out of malice, but out of a loyalty that was there long before you arrived and will be there if you leave. You begin editing what you say out loud. You start running 2 sets of numbers, the budget you discuss together and the private calculation you carry alone. Level 4. The budget bleeds. Marrying into a broke family is a little like buying a house with a structural problem that did not show up in the inspection report. The house looked solid. The foundation felt fine under your feet. The flaw only reveals itself slowly, when weight accumulates in a specific place, month after month, until the floor starts telling you something the inspection never did. Your joint account is the floor. Every transfer, every loan that becomes a gift, every emergency that arrives with its own internal logic applies weight to the same spot. You are not broke, but you are not building either. The retirement account that should have grown by 18% over the past 3 years has grown by 4 points. The emergency fund you agreed on together has been the emergency fund for someone else's emergency twice. Couples with more than $50,000 in combined debt are 40% more likely to divorce within 3 years. And a meaningful share of that debt, for couples in your position, is not debt they chose together. It is debt they absorbed through proximity. Level 5. Your marriage starts to look like their marriage. This is the level nobody warns you about going in. Financial stress does not stay in the bank account. It migrates. The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the part of your brain that regulates the stress response, does not distinguish between money stress and any other kind of threat. It floods your system with cortisol regardless of the source, and cortisol suppresses oxytocin, the bonding hormone central to touch, intimacy, and connection. Couples who argue about money at least once a week are more than 30% more likely to divorce than those who do not. But the more corrosive effect is not the arguments. It is the quiet withdrawal that chronic stress produces before the arguments even start. You stop reaching for your partner the way you used to. They stop reaching back. Neither of you can say exactly when it happened. The marriage your partner grew up watching, the one where two people lived side by side in the same financial anxiety without ever quite reaching for each other, is starting to feel less like their parents' story and more like the current shape of your own. Level 6. The identity cost. Here is the level that the first request pointed toward without saying so. Research on financial enmeshment documents a specific, long-term cost to the person who marries into a financially enmeshed system. Identity foreclosure. It is defined as the gradual loss of your own financial identity inside a system with someone else's rules. It means you stop making decisions based on what you and your partner want to build together, and start making them in response to the next thing coming from the family. Your financial goals, the ones you brought into this marriage, the timeline you imagined, the version of your life at 45 or 55 that made the hard work feel worth it, begin to look like something that belongs to a different person. A person who did not marry into this family. You are not that person anymore. You are the person who runs the private calculation instead, the one who knows exactly how much has left the account in the last 18 months and has told no one. Level 7. The twist. Here is the number that reframes everything above it. Financial problems appear as a major contributing factor in 36.7% of all divorces. Money fights are consistently ranked the second leading cause of marriage dissolution behind only infidelity. But the research makes a distinction most people miss. The damage is not caused by being broke. It is caused by having different relationships to money within the same marriage. Two people who grew up with nothing and built something together have the same odds as anyone else. What raises the risk is asymmetry. One partner carrying a financial history, a family system, and a set of obligations the other partner did not sign up for and was not fully told about. That asymmetry compounds quietly for years, and by the time it becomes legible, it has already done most of what it came to do. Somewhere today, someone is standing at an altar next to a person they chose, with a family in the front row who loves that person in a loud and present way, and the person at the altar is confusing that warmth with stability. Because when you are in love, it is easy to do. They will find out what they actually married into the way everyone does. Slowly, through the small requests that stop being small, through the loyalty tests that stop feeling like tests, through the private calculations carried alone until they are too heavy to carry anymore. If this landed somewhere specific for you, subscribe. The next video goes directly into what the couples who survive this actually do differently, and what the research says the conversation has to happen before it is too late to have it.